chatting with you this morning about your trek, your walk across Michigan. And this isn't the first time you've done something like this, but I would assume every time this is an adventure for you, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And let's talk about the last couple of days, because you've been out for 11 or 12 days now, right?
This is day 13 now.
Okay, and when you plan this trip like this or this journey, is it like, hey, I want to walk this way, or is there any sort of formula or calculation or anything in regards to planning this process?
It really depends. The first trip 4 years ago, there was very little planning, and it sounds foolish, but I was running on faith, and I kind of loosely plotted out where I could stay and find somewhere to sleep and grab food and whatnot. But this is year 5 now, and so by now, especially through Michigan, I have enough contacts and supporters and friends along the way that I can reach out to and let them know, like, hey, I'm coming through again. And depending how much time I have, if I've got 2 months or 3 weeks, I will plot something around that.
That's cool. And that network of friends and organizations that you've teamed up with, and including your own, that you are raising funds for, I think that's going to be very powerful for us to explore, especially in the next couple of minutes. We put a link on our Facebook page, both Facebooks actually, Hot Country Hits and 102.7's Facebook page. It's a link to your GoFundMe that you're raising money for Mission 22, correct?
Absolutely. Proceeds go towards Mission 22, as well as trip expenses and whatnot. And yeah, a lot of people have donated over the years, and I'm very grateful and blessed.
All right, and there's a big overall reason why you're doing this, and I think it's going to touch a lot of hearts here in the next couple moments as we explore this. So, if you're just joining us, Travis Snyder in the studio with us. Travis, I have to ask you before we get into the reason why you're doing this. How many miles have you completed so far?
This trip, 172 so far.
Okay, and yesterday you walked from Pentwater to the Custer area, correct? Or the Ludington area, right?
Yep, made it up here in about 11 to 12 miles.
Okay,
Yep.
All right. Today you're headed to Manistee, right?
That's right.
Okay, so you're not necessarily on back roads all the time. Today I think you're going right up 31.
That's correct. I might take some back roads to start, and then make my way to 31 and follow 31 all the way to the Mackinac Bridge the rest of the trip.
This is great. And that's about 400 miles total, I think, is from what on your website. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
All right. So what is this all about? I mean, this is your 5th year, you'd mentioned, and what inspired you, and why are you doing this?
Absolutely. So back in 2019, my Marine brothers and I lost one of our own to suicide, and so after that unfortunate event, I felt led to not only commemorate him, but also find a way to contribute to the suicide epidemic and try to raise awareness for other veteran needs. And so that first trip in 2019 was a walk around Lake Michigan for 6 weeks, just highlighting mostly the Mission 22 organization. And then after that, the support that followed led me to continue doing these walks and advocating in other ways as well throughout the year, just to keep talking about veteran mental health, suicide awareness, talking about resources that are available to veteran men and women. And then after a couple of shorter trips during COVID, a second lap last year around Lake Michigan, this year I felt led to talk about other organizations we have here in Michigan for our veteran brothers and sisters, so that those locally can reach out to organizations that help the cause as well, and might be well suited for what they're looking for.
Well, and a good example was yesterday. And by the way, Hudson's in the studio playing with his toys, so hopefully he's not bothering you too much. But he's a friendly little dog. And if you want to walk with him today, no, that'd be long. But as an example, yesterday you met with Sawyer's Kids for a Cause. Sawyer and Mom Heather walked with you from Pentwater to Ludington, and you bring up a very good point in regards to connecting with organizations that are impacting those local communities that you're walking through, because some communities you come through might not know what Mission 22 is, and even though it affects all of us in some way, it's always good to connect with some organizations that have an attachment to the community.
That's right. Yeah, there's so many organizations that are, so many resources that it's not always easy to get yourself out there, and some are doing great, wonderful things. And if you're a veteran that's looking for a certain kind of avenue for seeking out mental health healing, whether it be outdoor adventures or yoga and mindfulness or serving in a different way. There's definitely organizations around Michigan here that can help you tap into that. And so I think a lot of people in this world want to make a difference and serve a purpose one way or another. And that's been one of the biggest lessons I've learned through these trips, is that there's just so many people that want to do something but don't know how or where to go to do that.
And again, we and I don't know if we apologize, we sympathize with the loss of one of your with one of your Marine friends and partners, and I don't even know how to even imagine that experience. We can't if we're not in that position and we're not in the military and we're not in that moment. But I would assume when you are out here on your walks, you are sharing those stories, you're reflecting, you're trying to maybe even on the earlier years, get past that, because that's a traumatic experience, right?
Definitely. That first year in 2019. We were only a year removed from our deployment to Afghanistan, and so a lot of our guys were learning how to transition, whether it be in their careers, with families, other ambitions that they may have had, and so it took some time for some to adjust more than others. And for me, I knew that in that first year, I needed some healing of my own because some things hadn't quite worked out the way I hoped after the deployment. But for me personally, I found healing through that walk as well. And in the years since, I've just heard so many great stories and heard from so many wonderful people, not just people that are struggling, but also the family members affected through veteran mental health challenges. A lot of mothers, fathers, siblings whose service member has struggled at one point or another.
And again, affecting more than you would imagine, probably, right?
Oh, certainly, yeah. That was the biggest lesson, again, from this first trip, was that I didn't fully anticipate the magnitude of the epidemic, the suicide epidemic, when I took off. We read about veteran mental health or suicide awareness, even in the civilian aspect, through social media and the news and other platforms. But once I embarked on that first trip and the trips since, you just come across people that just want to either talk about their story or their experience and what they went through. And I tell anybody that, as you open up and talk about your own experience with mental health, whether you're the person affected or a family member or loved one is affected, us sharing our stories inspires others to open up as well and talk more about the resources and what they did to get through it. And, that's how we help each other, is by bridging these gaps that we have between us.
Absolutely. Okay, 2 questions, if you don't mind. The best moment in the last 5 years, maybe the most struggling moment in the last 5 years?
Man, the best moment is so hard to pick because I could go on for days with all the good stories that I have from these trips. The best moment I'm going to have to go with, and it's not necessarily, mental health, suicide related, but the first year walking from South Haven to Holland was going to be about a 25-mile day. And it was 6 o'clock in the morning. I was about to go on with the Fox news station and talk about the trip. It was just after a thunderstorm, and I found a little kitten. He became my little buddy. We named him Gulliver after, at the suggestion of one of our supporters and followers, after Gulliver's travels.
Absolutely.
And he was my buddy for a good few years, but sadly passed away last year.
I'm sorry.
But he was such a huge part of the story, and a lot of folks who have been following these trips, are always asking, how's Gulliver doing? How's Gulliver doing? And I just love talking about him and that part of the trip. So
wow, and probably that is one of the best, but also losing him, obviously, one of the hardest moments too, because he connects with more than just you, but all those people that are following you too, right?
Absolutely, yeah. That was definitely one of the best parts of the trip. One of the most challenging, and I'll have to lump it together, but it's definitely, a lot of folks will stop along the way to say hi and hello and share their story. And some of the heartbreaking stories that I've heard, it tears on you, it weighs on you a little bit. And I've said it before that I'm blessed to share that burden with them and listen to their stories, and it means the world to me that they would open up to me as well, because I don't always have all the answers to mental health challenges, because every situation is different, but the treatment and the solution for each situation is different as well.
Yeah.
Different things work for different people, but when folks open up to me and share with me the stories of their loved ones that they lost, it's gut wrenching for sure.
Yeah, but you are prepared for this, I would assume, after
Yes.
multiple years of being out there.
Definitely.
And that makes me think about it, is that even though you're walking from, because how many miles are you going to do today?
Today's about 22, 23 miles.
And so those 22, 23 miles, even at a 20-minute mile pace or whatever, 18 to 20 minutes roughly, there is more stops than probably us as the public knows, because if people do stop along the road, you're there for maybe 20 minutes, half an hour, and that'll hopefully not as long as that, because you want to keep going.
Yes.
But you have put that as part of your plan and your process for the day, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's part of the itinerary. So when I'm planning out how much time I need to walk to get to my checkpoint that day, I do factor in time for breaks or talking with folks and sharing and whatnot. So it's a great part of the day, but I ensure that I plan for that so I can get to my destination on time.
What do you think about when you're out there?
Oh, all sorts of things. Just a big chunk of it is trying to think of other ways that we can work together to get information out there, because there's so much information for veterans that it's hard to keep track of. Not just all the resources, but all the answers that a lot of veterans are looking for. How to get help with healthcare or mental health specifically, or how to get connected with other veterans that might have this interest or that interest. For me personally, too, it's a lot of... it seems like every year that I do this, I'm going into a new season of life as well. So in this case, I'm about to enter a new season of life personally. So I'm thinking about all the things I need to do when I get back home. And then certainly I kind of think about personally, like, am I going to keep doing this? And if I do, what does that look like? What does advocating look like? And what can I do to keep the conversations going about veteran mental health and suicide awareness?
Is it tough for you?
There's some tough moments, but I think the hardest part is just taking the time to do these trips. This is the 5th year, and I've gone back and forth about maybe taking a break for a while, and we'll see. I've also gone back and forth about taking on a different Great Lakes so that I can reach out to folks in different parts of the Midwest as well. Really, I'm taking a year at a time. I guess we'll see.
Well, I think those interactions and those stories that you collect along the way, that'll certainly determine when you step right up to the Mackinac Bridge, if you'll do it again. And sometimes you do have to take a break. Sometimes you do have to sit back and say, hey, I got to prioritize life a little bit. And I don't think nobody will say, well, yeah, it's such a shame he's not out here. No, they'll be there when you take that next step again in the future. So we encourage you to keep trekking today and stay strong all the way to the Mackinac Bridge. You've got about 100 and some odd miles that you've completed. What's the total that you've completed so far?
Yeah, I'm at 172 so far, and then I'm looking at anywhere between 375 and 400 when I'm done.
Does it get tougher as you trek through more of northern Michigan, or do you think it gets easier?
I would say it gets easier because the end is near. My body is glad that the end is near.
Yeah.
My heart still wants to stay in it, but that's what also keeps me doing this every year too.
Yeah.
But also, like any other time of year, anytime I want to get away for a weekend or a day, I always venture north. So northern Michigan's, where my heart's at too.
Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you here in our neck of the woods, for sure. And when you get to the Mackinac Bridge, what's that last day look like for you?
Yeah. So the last day for this year it'll be special for sure. I'll have a few friends up there to walk with me across the bridge. Looking to connect with other veterans as well. But I'm gonna be there hopefully at the very start of the once things open for pedestrians. I'll be right there at the beginning, and then get across the bridge, spend some time on the island, get some lunch maybe, hit up Pink Pony because that's always a hot spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then make my way back home.
And so you're going to be You're going to be finalizing it on Labor Day then, right? Is that the
That's
plan?
correct.
Yeah. If you're saying walking across the bridge, for sure. Okay.
For sure. So that first year, I didn't luck out. I kind of planned it, but that first year was my first time walking the bridge. I got there I think I took a week to get there from Manistee, where I started that year, just so I could walk across and then keep venturing west along US 2.
All right. Now you're going to start at West Shore Community College today, and then make your way. Do you know what roads you're going to be traveling?
Stiles up to. Man, I have to remember because I lived in Manistee, so these back roads I knew so well.
Okay, you're probably going to go to Sugar Grove, I would assume, or you're going to go west to or east to 31 though. Eventually, there, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
and then up 31. But majority of the time, you're going to be on 31.
I will be. So I'm going to be meeting folks at Docks.
Okay. Yep.
Silver River Inn right there at 12:30, and then we'll continue from there, from Docks north on 31.
Okay.
And we're gonna stop at Third Life Brewing right there in Manistee.
Okay.
I haven't been meaning to get there and try them out yet. So.
All right, that's good. And so about 12:30, we want to encourage as many people to come out to Docks as possible, meet you there. And have you had people walk with you for a mile or two or a little bit? Has that happened?
Yeah.
Do you encourage that, I guess, is the question too.
We sure do encourage it. Yeah, each trip I try to encourage folks anywhere to come out, walk for, whether it be a mile or two. Some will walk for a whole day. Sawyer and Heather are there every year, putting in some miles as well. So yeah, I definitely encourage it. Veteran, civilian, it doesn't matter what where you come from, what your story is. Okay. If you just feel led to be a part of this, I'd love to have you a part of it.
This is cool. All right, and then and let's show Travis our support. We've got a link to his GoFundMe on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, and go there, click that, and donate today if you can. And I would assume donations come in all sort of increments for you, don't they?
Oh, they sure do, yeah.
All right, let's do that right there at our Facebook page. Make sure you click that link and give that donation. If people want to follow your journey a bit more, even those that are past the Manistee area and the Bear Lake area or other parts of northern Michigan, how can they do that? Yeah,
Instagram and Facebook are the two main platforms that I utilize, and my tag is at Travis Hikes Lake MI. Pretty straightforward.
Okay, all right, and we'll put a link to those under the videos that are streaming right here now.
Great.
Did we miss anything to talk about your journey this morning?
No, but I will say this. I mean, if you're somebody listening today and you're struggling, it doesn't matter where you come from, what your background is, what you've been through, what your trauma is. I just want to encourage you to open up today, and I want to remind you that you've got a purpose, you've got a reason to be here. And you've got a lot to offer this world. And if you're struggling, there's people and resources out there available to you to help you find the healing that you need. And so I just wanted to say that today.
Very good message. Well, Travis, let's make sure the wind is at your back and and smooth sailing as you make your way to the Mackinac Bridge. And for us here in the Ludington area and the greater Ludington area, welcome to the community, and we appreciate all that you're doing.
Thanks, Chris. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Stand by for a moment. And for everybody out there, make sure you do check out that link. And if you missed any part of this segment, you can watch it in its entirety on our Facebook and our YouTube channels. It is 102.7 WMOM and Hot Country Hits 99.9. Going to send the country station back to more of those hits that you've grown to love, your new country and your all-time favorites coming up next on Hot Country Hits 99.9. And for our listener family here on 102.7 Bomb FM, we're going to do the same thing. But Travis, we do wish you the best of luck out there. You're gonna do great.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. It is 102.7 Bomb FM.
You're going to need a workout playlist.
Time for work.
We got you covered. 102.7 WMOM.